The Warthog's Tail. The warthog's tail is a wonderful wonder. When he runs, it stands up, and when he stands, it goes under. But the warthog's tail was not always so. Have you heard what happened? Do you know? Do you know? It all began as most things do in the very beginning when the world was new. The first 3 warthogs roamed wild and free, with tails that stayed as down as could be, while the very first leopard with a hungry eye watched their every move from a tree nearby. Mommy and Daddy and baby Ought had no idea they might soon be caught. Not the slightest clue, not a hinch, not a hunch. The high above leopard thought, here comes my lunch. Grazing and munching, they started to stray towards the tree where that leopard lay, silently watching, eagerly waiting until those warthogs were ripe for the taking. But just as those warthogs strayed into the trap, a twig beneath the leopard snapped with a crack. Looking up, Dad yelled, "Run! Follow me! In the long grass we'll be harder to see." Off charged those warthogs with a leopard behind, ravenous leopard with one thing in mind. Into the long grass they bolted at pace. Into the long grass the leopard gave chase. "Gallop," cried Dad, "for all you are worth, or we'll be the first and the last warthogs here on earth." Little Ought scampered, huffing and blowing, too scared to think about where he was going. He lost sight of Dad. He lost sight of Mom. Terrified, little Ought raced on and on. At last his tired legs sank into the ground. As heaving and puffing, he turned to look around. "Thank goodness," he gasped, "that leopard has gone." But then he cried out, "Where's Dad? Where's Mom?" They must have been eaten, and now there's just me, the last little warthog that there ever will be. "Don't worry, Ought," said a voice from a branch. "They are jolly good runners. There's an excellent chance that they're perfectly safe somewhere nearby. There, Ought. Don't cry, don't cry." The voice was the bundu bird, friendly to all, especially someone so lost and so small. "I'll take a look," he said. "You wait here. I'll bet my feathers that they are somewhere near." He had no sooner gone when a new voice hissed, "Ooh, I say, what's this? What's this?" "Psst, young fellow," the python's voice whispered. "Been running too hard? Your feet are all blistered. Poor little chap. Dear, dear me. Perhaps you should cool your feet in my tree." "How?" replied Ought. "I can't climb at all, and if I could, I'm afraid I might fall." "Well, I could lift you up just fine, and you'll never fall from these coils of mine. They call me Crush. So nice to meet you." Then the bundu bird screeched, "That creature will eat you." Ort leapt back, crying out with a snort, "Gosh, is that so? He seemed a good sort." "Any sign of my mum? Any trace of my dad?" "Not yet," said the bird, "but I'll find them, lad." Then off Bundu flew in a different direction, on a further mission of bush inspection. Ort set off for a river close by. The frantic bird, running, had left his throat dry. The frantic running had left his throat dry. At the river he studied the drinking spots and made for a safe one, sheltered by rocks. "Oh, goodness," rasped Ort, "I do need a drink." And then the Bundu bird screeched, "Ort, stop, think! Those rocks aren't rocks, those rocks are crocs. They'll crunch you up and lick their chops." "What's a croc?" asked Ort, surprised. "When will you learn?" the bird replied. They're long, strong things with long, sharp teeth and not much room underneath. And a little warthog would taste very yummy in a long, strong crocodile's long, long tummy. "Any sign," asked Ort, "of my mom and my dad?" "Not yet," said the bird, "but I'll find them, lad. There's a watering hole yonder, beyond that hill, where you can safely drink your fill." "I'll meet you there," the Bundu bird said, "but first, one last search up ahead." At the watering hole's edge, Ort stooped to drink, too tired, too lost, and too sad to think. The water mirrored his sad little face, with a big tear rippling out of place. But when at last the ripples were done, he saw 3 faces where there had been 1. "Good gracious!" cried Ort. "How can this be? 3 warthog faces, but just 1 of me." He looked to his left, and he looked to his right. "Mummy, Daddy!" he squealed with delight. Bundu bird, quick come and see! It's Mummy and Daddy, and they've found me." "Well, I'll be an aardvark," Bundu bird cried. "What did I say? They're alive, they're alive. But if you warthogs want to last forever, when you're on the run, you must stay together. Why don't you do as we birds do? A whistle, to give one another a clue." So they ran around whistling with but their whistles ran out. Have you tried to whistle while charging about? It's very difficult. "I've got it," cried Ort. "This'll work without fail. A warthog is short, pardon, but he has a long tail. If we run with it up, I'm sure we'll discover we can follow each other, whatever the cover." It worked. Their tails stayed clear in view, so they made it a thing that they always do. A habit that warthogs just never forget. They say, "Not one has got lost yet." For that wonderful tail will only drop when the warthog it's joined to comes to a stop. Look at those 3. Tails up, They must be running. The end.